Called to order this meeting of the Cedarburg Board of Education. It's a regular meeting, January 20th, 2015. This meeting has been noticed in the district and additional copies were forwarded to the news graphic in Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel. I'd like everyone to stand up and join me for the pledge of allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, resolutions and recognitions. Todd, National Charter Education.
Thank you very much. This evening we are here to recognize West Lawn Elementary School. I'd like to call PJ Kelly to the podium, please. West Lawn is being recognized for an award they received as part of the Schools of Character Education Program. West Lawn has received these awards in the past. In fact, this is their third recognition. And it should be noted that there were, I believe, this year 316 awards handed out across the United States, Canada, China, Greece, and Mexico. And this year, West Lawn is being recognized for one of 11 principals that are needed to be a school of character ed, and it's principle number 10, I believe, which engages families and community members as partners. And both Kelly and PJ are here this evening to speak a little bit more to that recognition.
Thanks, Todd, and thank you, Dr. Levinson and the Board of Education for allowing us just a few minutes to share a little bit about our experience, not only with our character education initiative, but also for our awards that we were able to receive. Just a little bit of a backstory in this. West Lawn's journey into character education began with a trip up to Combined Locks to Jansen Elementary School, coincidentally the home of the Bulldogs, and that started us off on the right foot. And the principal up there has the coolest name of a principal. Hercules is this guy's name. So the guy's name is Hercules, and he's the principal of the Bulldogs. So this was made to order. Anyway, we got introduced to the character education initiative up at Jansen Elementary School up there, and they shared with us a little bit about their morning power. And I came back and talked with the staff about the incredible program that they had, and that was the beginning of West Lawn getting into that. A couple of pieces that are a little noticeable at West Lawn School about this. If you have been in the gym in the last couple of years, over the first 2 summers after our trip up there, Sasha Miller, who is West Lawn's art teacher, and Kim O'Reilly, who is Parkview's arts teacher, were commissioned to paint the mural on the gym wall, which sort of resembled the mural that Jansen School had of their giant bulldog and their big doghouse of theirs. Cassie Wilson, the teacher, crafted the school song to go along with some of these character traits, and we launched our very first morning pod in October of 2012. One of the big decisions that the staff had, the leadership team, putting together our character education initiative, was what do we want our kids to look like? What are the values, what are the character traits that we want them to exemplify, we want them to embrace, we want them to learn, not only as students, but also as members of the workforce and productive members of society. And this is what our whole program is built on. We decided that respect, honesty, responsibility, kindness, perseverance, courage, commitment, cooperation, forgiveness, and citizenship were the kinds of kids that we wanted to have, the kinds of students we wanted to send on to Webster and then on to the high school and then out into society. So that was kind of the basis, the foundation that we built our program on. And we did, as Todd mentioned, craft a promise and practice application for our morning pod that we were able to receive the recognition for in 2013. And then it just kind of picked up momentum. It's what brings us to here tonight. The 2 awards, real simply, as Todd mentioned, there are 11 principles, and one of the principles that we strive especially hard at looking at as part of our program is the whole idea of engaging family members in our educational outreach. So both of these awards look at how can helping better engage families and bring moms and dads, grandmas and grandpas alongside of the staff as partners in instilling these values, these pillars in our kids. Girls Getaway was the first one, and Kristen Kapler, who had been the school counselor for the last couple of years and had now gone on to Kewaskum High School as their counselor. This was actually her brainchild, and she launched this and applied for the award. And basically, that's allowing the fifth grade girls and their parents, the moms, to bond and build character and feel empowered as they get ready to leave their elementary school experience and move on to the wonderful world of middle school, which sometimes can be just a little bit turbulent for the daughters and their mothers as they try to navigate those waters. We wanted to give them a little bit firmer foundation as they set forth. The other piece is the one that Colleen was primarily responsible for organizing, maintaining, administering as part of the program. That one is our family practice program, and basically it involved engaging parents in their 9 school pillars. I'm going to talk just a little bit about the tic-tac-toe format that we had used to launch that.
Each month we have in our morning pod one pillar that we teach every single day. And we wanted that to carry into the families. And so we made a tic-tac-toe board for each month with 9 different activities that the families were able to use and reinforce their skills. So we asked that they chose just 3 of the activities, practice that at home. They brought their artifacts back to school. And when they brought back their tic-tac-toe board at the end of the month, each child got to collect a little keychain that had the character pillars on. So at the end of the year, the proud students had their little keychain filled with all of their character rewards and incentives for participating and reinforcing all of the skills that we were working on.
So the idea of the promising practices is supposed to be something that's relatively simple and easy for other schools to replicate, which is the purpose of bringing people from literally all over the world together to share their ideas and to be able to showcase their projects. A little video clip that I just wanted to share with you sort of highlights our time in DC. And interwoven through the clip in the writing, we shared this with the kids when we came back. Interwoven within the pictures on there are West Lawn's 9 pillars, just again to be able to reinforce to our kids how the pillars generalize beyond school, not only just to the nation, but to the whole world. Some of the monuments and statues that we included in our clip that we were able to share with the kids. So, if you want to share that, we'll wrap it up with this little clip.
It feels so good that there were the heroes
you again.
Thank you for that. I recall when you first were bringing that up in 2012 and talking about pods and whatnot, and what you were doing, and how it was kind of a new thing. And now it's just part of the culture over there, and obviously you've done a great job with it. So it's really nice to see it, before and after, and it's also nice that you've been able to be here for this whole experience, and you were able to get that reward your free for the class. So. Thank you. All right, consent agenda, Dr. Emerson.
The next item includes the minutes from December 17th, budget and finance, financial information, and personnel report. As our custom, I'd like to ask Conrad if you would please read the personnel report into the minutes.
Happy to. Before you, you have the typical explanation of comings and goings of staff members. We do have one resignation request from a professional staff member, Amy Arnold. Secondary teacher at Parkview has indicated that she would be resigning effective at the end of this school year. And then we have a couple other support staff, three people that have left the district since the last school board meeting, and then another 7 support staff members that we have added on to our team. So we would ask you to approve the resignation effective June 30th, 2015 for Amy Arnold.
I move to approve Amy Arnold's resignation effective June 30th, 2015.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Against? Motion carries unanimously. Item 2.
Reports and recommendations.
Conrad, can you read item 2 into there as well?
Classified support staff.
Yeah.
No longer employed by the district are Jason Horkner, Charles Mirkey, and Melissa Pungarcher. Hired by the district were Richard Anderson, Barbara Batsko, Nan Bolker, Charlotte Butzler, Susan Groskoff, Sylvia Heiler, and Mary Kaminsky.
Conrad? All right. Reports and recommendations.
First item is the recommendation for to accept Seabird Education Foundation grant totaling $7,376.57. The grant requests approved include $2,320 in support of Science and Resonance Week at West Lawn Elementary School, $3,328.82 for the purchase of certain equipment to be used in the Project Lead the Way program at Webster Transitional School, and $1,727.75 in support of the purchase of certain equipment for use in chemistry classes at Cedarburg High School.
Move to approve.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Against? Motion carries.
The next item, administration recommends the Board of Ed accept a donation of $500 from Paul and Marlon Kimmel to be used by Cedarburg High School local choir department for any expenditure that would support the choirs.
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion and second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Against?
The next item, recommend the Board of Ed accept the donation of $2,500 worth of tools from Five Corners Dodge to be used by the Cedarburg High School Autos program.
Move. Second. Motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Against? Motion carries.
Next item, I recommend the Board of Education accept the donation of a 2004 Hyundai Santa Fe, estimated value of $500 from Newman Chevrolet to be used by the Cedarburg High School Autos program.
Move to approve. Was that supposed to say Corvette?
No, it's just Santa Fe. It's Chris Reimer's former.
We did have a Santa.
Yeah, that's right.
I will second.
Motion and second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Against? Motion carries.
Recommend the Board of Education accept a donation of $1,290 from the Cedarburg Light and Water Utilities to be used for LED lights at Webster Transitional School.
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Against? Motion carries.
And the last donation is
it's a recommendation that the Board of Education accept the donation of $500 from Gruber Tool and Die to be used by Saybrook High School athletics for the Nicky Doans basketball tournament. So move to approve.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Against, motion carries. Thank you, everyone, for fantastic donations. Just never ceases to amaze me how generous our community is. Item G, Todd.
Thank you. This evening, this is one of 3 policies we are bringing forward. This policy is in response to Senate Bill 334, Wisconsin Act 60. It's the Technical Excellence Higher Education Scholarship policy, and you can see it's 5451.02, and it's 1 of 5 pages that we're asking you to approve this evening and possibly waive the second reading. And that is due to the fact that there's a timeline that we have to adhere to in recognizing and selecting students for this particular scholarship. There was a law that had been passed back in December 12, 2013, and it still honored those students who had a concentration in technical education subjects, and those students who are enrolled on a full-time basis are eligible for a scholarship for 3 years at $2,250 per year. And all districts, most districts across the state are in a position where they need to adopt a new policy, and this is the new policy as recommended to us through Neola. This policy has been shared with the high school guidance department and Jeff Nelson, and we've gone back and forth and read it, and this is our recommendation. And you can see that there's some X's and choices that have been selected, and those are just our suggested recommendations.
I'll move to approve tonight instead of waiting for a second reading if it's going to affect our children being able to get a scholarship.
Second that.
Motion and second, any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Against, motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
Item H, Todd.
Before you is the class size policy that we are recommending the board adopt this evening. We did not have a chance to get it to the board previously, so we would need to waive the requirement for 2 readings in order to get this policy approved. It's part of the open enrollment process that we do need to have a set class size policy in our books, so to speak, because whenever there's an appeal situation from a family of a student that may have been denied, they can appeal that decision, and then the DPI looks at our process and make sure that we have the appropriate policies in place that can justify why a student was denied placement. So this class size policy is based on our consultation with Neola, who we will be going to transfer our policies over to their online service. It has been vetted by the law firm of Davidson Kieltau, just like all of their policies are. And so we would ask for approval of 2312 class size policy, and then the associated class guidelines that go right along with that. And so the guidelines typically don't require board approval, but they are something that we would want to make sure that the board is aware of. These are the same numbers with our current policies. We're not changing the class sizes at all. We're just modifying the wording a little bit so that we are using an average across the district. Because when you think about the open enrollment situation, a student isn't guaranteed a school ever. It's a seat at a certain grade level. And so you want to use that across the district average of the class sizes in justifying why you determine seats or why you might deny seats. And so we just adjusted the policy in our current format, put it into Neola's format, and we're just making that slight tweak so that we're emphasizing that we're using an average across the district when we're determining seats and making these kinds of decisions. So it's really no change at all on the actual class size limits. We have a range, and we're recommending in the enrollment policy that'll be coming up after this, that we use the low end of the range when determining seats for open enrollment. So the class size policy and the guideline we're asking for approval this evening.
I'll move to approve. I'll second.
A motion and second, discussion?
I've got a question. I'm glad you answered the current levels, because I wasn't sure what those were. Do you know, in item 2, the class size less than 15 students, is that what we generally use in high school at them? I wasn't sure.
That's generally when we end up having conversations when we look at staffing for the following
Okay,
year.
so it's really matching what we had in the past, there's no real change.
Yes.
Okay, great.
We got a question, the one-page memo, and basically the class, is this part of the, that's, oh, I'm sorry, this is the one, got it.
That'll be open enrollment coming up.
Yeah, that's just a thing.
The next policy that we have before you is the district's open enrollment policy. As I mentioned previously, we brought that to the board at the last meeting, so you did have a chance to do the first reading approval already for that one. We have to get this policy in place before we can approve open enrollment seats, which has to be done in January of each year. The policy that we had in place was proving to not be very helpful when appeals were made to the Department of Public Instruction. They essentially told us, you're going to lose every appeal if you don't get your policy aligned and straightened out the way it needs to be. So again, consulting with Neola and Davidson Kieltau, this is the recommended policy that they are advising that we should adopt for the district when determining our open enrollment seats. So we would ask for that policy to be approved this evening.
Conrad, would you, I think the board has class size policies 343.2 and 343.2R, but I don't think it's present for 424. Would you mind reading that open enrollment policy, please?
Sure. In just a second.
I know we've looked at it already, but just to read it in there.
Yep, we'll get it.
We like it when you read us.
The open enrollment program, the school district will participate in the Wisconsin Public Open Enrollment Program in accordance with applicable law and relevant policies and rules of the district. All is amended from time to time. And then there's just a series of definitions, how you define a non-resident district, a non-resident student, tuition student, full-time enrollment, and then class size is identified as the district's determination of the maximum average number of students who can be accommodated properly at a grade level without jeopardizing the quality of an instructional program and mitigating circumstances for a particular school, class, or program, including enrollment projections established by the district administrator. Average class size calculation at each grade level will be compared to the district's policy and class size to determine the number of available seats, if any, at each grade level. And then there's a definition of program size, resident, student, very boilerplate, typical type of discussions or descriptions. Then there's the procedure for open enrollment applications, which is the same procedure that we've had in place. No changes on that. Siblings are given preference when we do open a seat. That's not a change. That's the way it's always been. The district can establish a waiting list. That's another typical procedure that you can do through the law, have done it in the past. We did add a line that says non-resident students already attending district schools under open enrollment are included in the calculation of the average class size and therefore are already given priority and are not part of any waiting list or random selection process because they're trying to keep the students in the system once they get in. That's best education for them. So that's no change from past practice. Everything else in the policy is the decision criteria for non-resident applications, same decision-making criteria that's allowed by the law that has been in place in the past. There are certain reasons you can deny open enrollment, like an expulsion or a truancy issue. That's not new, that's the same as the policy before. And procedure for evaluating applications by district residents to transfer to another district. So that's the same process that has been used for outgoing open enrollment students. There's no change in that. The reapplication procedures are just clarified. The board will require accepted non-resident students to reapply under the open enrollment policy when the non-resident student enters high school. And that's been the practice in Cedar Verde. When they reach ninth grade, they do have to reapply, no change there. And there are a set of rules for alternative applications. That's part of the state law. We have no control over that. People can't apply for open enrollment even if they missed the February deadline because of extenuating circumstances. And so the law, we follow the law in that and all the provisions that are part of that. And that is essentially the open enrollment policy that we're recommending for approval tonight.
And that was also, I'm sorry, that was also reviewed by Neil.
Yes.
Any discussion?
I'll move to approve and then I just, clarification, I have a question after a second. I'll second.
Motion and second, discussion.
The memo, Conrad, that shows there are no available seats. Now that's because that's based on our lowest numbers, what we have to provide. So they're very low, 80 seats, but because of the way the state does it, we have to give us our lowest number seats, correct?
No, as a district, you have the ability to determine the policies and procedures that you use to establish your class size limits. So that's a local decision that Cedarburg is making to say, we would like to keep our class sizes at these levels, and therefore we're not gonna open up seats because we are already at the low end of our limit. So that's a district decision, it doesn't have anything to do with the open enrollment policy itself. The open enrollment law, I should say.
But once those numbers are reported to the state, then we have to abide to those, that's what you're.
Yes.
That's right.
These numbers are, so if we deny and a student appeals that, we can explain this is because it was based on our policy. Here's our policy, very ironclad.
Here are our numbers.
Here are our numbers, this is how we came up with our numbers, and that's how you basically win your appeals.
Any further discussion?
I have just a quick question, maybe a detailed item. When we look at these numbers, like fifth grade going to sixth grade, let's say, I assume that rolls next year, so we'll have 201 students going to the sixth grade class. It currently has 238
Could I
students.
just stop you for a second, Kevin? It's more like, that's kind of getting into the next.
The next
item.
item.
All right.
So we'll just, any more germane to policy 424? All right. All those in favor? Aye. Against? Motion carries.
Mr. President, I just want to clarify something. We discussed item H, and there was a motion and a second. And then we added discussion of 424. I just want to make sure we wrapped it all together so that, and then it was a new motion and a second.
There's a motion and second for item H, 343.2 and 343.2R.
Right.
Motion second, and then that was voted on, that was unanimous, and then we just got done voting on 424. We had a motion and a second, and that was unanimous as well, correct?
Correct.
And now, we're moving on to item J, which is the open enrollment for 2015-16. That is the memo dated January 20th, 2015 to the board from Conrad. And the subject reads open enrollment seats for 2015-16. So we have yet to have a motion or a second or any discussion on that as it has been noticed. But we can start as soon as Conrad's done introducing the document. Good?
Very good. Yeah, I just didn't remember voting on the first item H.
Sure.
Sorry about that.
That's a lot of numbers.
Okay. So before you, as mentioned, you have the memo for establishing open enrollment seats for 2015-16. This is part of the state law for open enrollment. All districts have to determine their seats in January for the following year. Using the policies that we just adopted, we took the enrollment projections for next year, applied the policies and the low end of the class size, and you can see at every single grade level, we are right at that threshold, and so we are not accepting, we're not recommending any open enrollment seats for next year at any grade levels. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
I've got a question. Now, when we look at this, as I read through the fifth grade going to sixth grade, let's say we're going from 8 sections in fifth grade, 201 students. Currently in sixth grade, we have 9 sections, 238 students. Is it the intent to stay with the 8 sections
No.
in most cases?
At the element, I
When we
mean,
go to sixth grade, the next year, when this is, I assume, are these numbers?
these are projections for next year.
Mhm. All right, so this is next year's projections, then each year we'll revisit that and how many sections are in each area.
Every year. Yeah, you'll see at the elementary, sometimes there's 8, sometimes there's 9, because we do have some bubbles, they call them, at the elementary level. Typically, we don't change the sections at the middle school or high school, however, those are gonna be pretty set. They could fluctuate, but generally speaking, those are the number of sections that we use at those levels.
Okay. My comment there was, it looks like in the future years, fifth and fourth grade are quite a bit less than our current sixth grade. So as my question really was, do we change the sections there, reduce the sections?
It could happen, yeah, it could happen, so it's hard to say, in 2 years' time, so much can happen.
Okay, thank you.
Anyone else? Would anyone like to make a motion?
I'll move it.
Have a motion,
Second.
motion and a second.
Discussion, I have a question.
Yes.
So under this, we will not accept any applications next year.
Right now, we're saying there are no seats available. People can apply, they can go onto a waiting list, and you could make a decision later in the summer, if for some reason you had a dramatic decrease at a certain grade level and you wanted to take some students, the districts have the ability to do that. Once you take students over what you've said though, you will lose every appeal of any denials. And so that's just something that as a district, you have to be aware of and recognize. So let's say 10 first graders moved out of the district and we felt like, boy, we'd like to capture that revenue, like to get those students in there, and we had 15 applications for first grade. Once you accepted 10 and those other 5 got denied, when they appeal to the state, they'll win. Because the decision to open up seats after you said you wouldn't have any, the DPI views that as arbitrary. And so,
It's just wrong.
when I first learned about this law 15 years ago, that's exactly what I said. I did not understand.
You can quote me on that one, but they're just wrong. I think you can make a rational discussion to explain why.
Yep,
I wanted to make sure that we aren't tying our hands, that if there becomes suddenly through movement of selling of houses or something, we have a really low class, that we're not going to lose those funds.
You can still accept them, you just have to recognize the potential risk on the appeals.
These guys are better terms than DPI.
This has held up a long time.
And the other issues, the action you took earlier in the meeting, will allow us the opportunity to manage this instead of having the process managed by appeals, which is a long-term concern in the district. And we want to be able to move into being more predictive and intentional in terms of what our enrollments look like. And so I appreciate the action you took earlier that will allow us to make sure that we can take control and be able to steer this in the direction we want, which for the benefit of the audience and parents, is low class size. The board is committed to that, so I think it ranges, and our goal is to have the class sizes as low as possible for our teachers and our students.
And on the other side, if we did have some numbers in there for open enrollment seats, we would have to take them.
You have to take up to whatever
We would go back, so if we did have, let's say, 1, 2, or 3, as we all know, and then we had families move in, the homes being vacated by older families, or the ones west of Wauwatosa that are being built throughout the town, then we'd be in a real problem. So the way I look at this is we're really protecting class size for our taxpayers and our students.
And you're trying to keep space for resident students.
Right,
That's in the
right,
policy.
yes,
I think this makes a great point, thank you for saying that.
All right, any more discussion, guys? All right, motion in a second, all those in favor? Aye. Against? Motion carries unanimously, thank you. Item K, superintendent's notes.
The opportunity recently to visit the 3 fifth grade classrooms at Forest. We have the Literacy Collaborative, which is our reading, writing program that you've heard about, and you've received some presentations regarding, as well as the learning initiative with the Google Chromebooks being issued to students, and they use the technology when they need the technology, and not simply when it's available to check out from the library or another source. It was really a great 3 hours of sitting in classrooms, watching what was going on, but also talking to students. The opportunity to visit with probably 30 students, just kind of seeing what life looks like from their perspective, through their eyes. So I thought I'd share some of their observations. The one thing I'd like you to be able to recognize is when I use a C word. There'll be a particular C word that several students use in a conversation with me, which I thought really spoke volumes in terms of their perception of what's going on, both with the collaborative, but also with the opportunity of technology ready when they need it, which is fabulous. So some of my questions to the students included, what do you like most about the learning initiative, the Literacy Collaborative, and why do you like it? Why is it meaningful? I also asked if you would change something about the collaborative or the learning initiative, what would it be? I asked
what's different this year from fourth grade? What do you like most? And then I asked if you could change one thing, if you could take one thing out of this year, fifth grade, what would you miss most if it was removed and why? So it was really fun just visiting with students and hearing the answers to some of those questions. Here are some of the comments that were made by the fifth grade students, so that you have a sense of what they're experiencing based on your decision, thinking about their best interest. Regarding what fifth grade looks like, using a Google Chromebook is way better than writing. So I made sure that I talked with our young ladies, because I could relate to it. I mean, that was painful to me. The girls said the same thing to me. After I write half a page, my hand hurts and I stop writing. And I asked, well, when do you stop writing? When you're typing. And the answer was, I don't. Which I thought was true. I write more than I ever did before. I edit more. I go back and I look at what I wrote, and then I change it and try to make it better. It's easy to use. I was able to adjust to it quickly because I'm comfortable with computers. There was no real adjustment because I wanted to know, is a Google Chromebook hard to use, or were you able to adjust to it pretty quickly? I really like what's happening in the collaborative and the learning initiative because I have lots of support. I get my questions answered quickly. And I really like the way that I'm able to make changes in anything that I do to make it better. They really like what's going on in terms of the interaction with teachers, because in the Literacy Collaborative, they have one-on-one time with teachers. So teachers bring a student over, they review their work, they do an assessment in terms of what their reading level is, they have a conference with them. The students really like that. They like being able to choose their own books. They like the nature of the books they're able to select. And then several students, and it was a common theme, several students said, what I really like about fifth grade, and I really like about having technology, Chromebook, is I'm able to do more complex things. Let's see. Now that's from fifth graders. So I asked them, what does complex mean? And complex meant to them, when I'm interested in a topic, I can go deeper in that topic, and I can find out more about that topic or other things about that same topic that I'm interested in, and I can find out right away. They're able to have more interesting topics, more depth. They really, again, like the feedback from the teacher. They like the idea that in the Literacy Collaborative, they've been asked to publish their work. That their work is so meaningful in terms of the purposefulness of their writing that it matters. They really like the feedback from the teachers. Every one of the students pulled up their webpage and they showed me their writing, and then many of them read it to me, which was awesome. And then they showed me the comments that the teachers made about their writing. And I asked, do you appreciate those comments? Oh, I love reading those comments. And then I write back to the teacher, because they have questions for me, or they have a statement about what I did. The kinds of things that they would absolutely not want to change at all about fifth grade is having access to technology, being able to do things in their time, being able to do more complex things. And again, crossing 3 classrooms, I heard the C word more than once in each classroom from students, which was amazing. And I didn't prompt them. I was just, trying to understand what things look like through their eyes. And they really liked the fact that they felt that they had more direct contact, one-to-one contact with teachers. That was incredibly valuable to them. So then I had lunch with the teachers, and during that lunch, I talked with them, what does life look like with 28 kids? One of the classes is 29. We know class size matters because we just talked about it. And we know that when you have 20 kids in the class and you go to 28, that's a 40% increase in kid time and contact time and talking with parents and talking with kids. You know, those numbers matter. And the teacher said, you know, we love the program, there are things about it we're just trying to adjust to, a lot of training, but we see so many positive things and we're still working through all the things to make it as good as it can be. But they did mention that the high numbers that they're experiencing right now, it's tough with that kind of direct connection with students by reading groups, etc. So I mentioned that I would share that because that is something that needs to be on our radar, I think. You know, that's an important thing. There's a policy of class size, there's a board policy. I asked them what the optimum number was, and they gave me a range. I'll share that with you later, but you know, it's lower than what they saw. But it's pretty close to the low end of our range, actually, which was great. I just want you to know, from the student perspective in 5th grade at Thorson, after 3 hours, the kind of experience that they're having was absolutely remarkable because of the decisions that you made to bring about the Literacy Collaborative and to fund that, to be able to support it, and you've been very purposeful in that, and then to bring alongside the level of support and engagement that technology allows for when students have it when they need it, in terms of the learning initiative. So I just want to let you know, from a student's point of view, it really has made a huge difference. So I want to thank you for that, and I thought you'd appreciate hearing that. I appreciated just being able to listen to the students for almost 4 hours. So does anyone have any questions about?
Could I ask one, please?
Yeah.
By the way, thank you for sharing. How does that compare with your expectations when we started on this journey? And then you going into the classroom and getting this feedback?
I thought the students would appreciate the fact that they could do things that they had to wait to do. I did not expect to hear the comments regarding the complex things that they were able to do, the kinds of things that it would provide as an advantage to them. I knew that they would appreciate, I believe that they would appreciate the fact that they would be able to write more and edit more, be able to drill down on information that was of interest to them. But I really appreciate hearing, it really resonated with me when the students, and different other students use different terms than complex, but the fact that the students understand what the power of being able to encourage their thinking in broader and deeper ways. That's the part that I think so early in the process has pleasantly surprised me. And I think I'm confident that's because of not only our teachers, but Kirsten and Rachel coming alongside and supporting that your initiative, that learning initiative in such a remarkable way, and that the focus was on learning instead of technology. It's not about stuff. It's not about digitizing the way we've always used to do it. It's allowing students to use this to become more and more powerful, greater thinkers and powerful thinkers. So I'm really pleased.
Thank you. First good step.
I have a quick question. Is this, because this is new for us, I know in your old district, in Illinois, you had this kind of going on. For us, it's new, for all of our community, it's new, and for staff. And it would be interesting, I think, for the board, and I'll just throw this up there, it would be interesting for me to hear what, if we could get some collaboration time between Kirsten and her group and the principals and the teachers on what works, what they'd like to tweak, or what did work, or how they want to modify it, and the changes they'd like to make as it keeps going forward, because this is all new to, I think, everybody here, except for you who have seen it in the past, but it'd be nice to see the interplay between the principals and Kirsten and her group and the teachers, and saying, all right, what's working, what we want to tweak, what can we do a lot better with? I mean, not that it's bad now, but just what can you improve this, since it's new, there's usually improvements that we make.
I appreciate that. I put my glasses on to make sure I can see Kristen's face. She's beaming. She's looking forward to that. We will take you up on that invitation. This has been a fabulous year. There are a lot of things that have been put in place this year. As you know, we moved on the technology be excited to hear about the perspective that everyone has at the present time, but also the forward thinking that everyone is enjoying, kind of thinking, what does next year look like, what does the year after look like, as we continue to move forward in time. It'd be great, thanks for that.
I know we talked last week about your visit, and since then I talked to some fifth graders. My son that's in fifth grade over at Parkview, and I just asked them flat out about what they like the most about the Chromebooks. And they were saying, you know, they can do a lot more faster, and they mentioned their hand not hurting, but they can go into topics more, and you know, they have interest in one topic, and it leads to another, and leads to another, and that was all good stuff. But one of the young kids said that before he didn't like to write at all, because he was ashamed at how his penmanship looked, and he was ashamed that he couldn't spell. And it took him a long time, and he was really frustrated. And he said now he loves to write. And I thought, you know, that's really cool, but it's also cool that he wasn't ashamed to say that in front of like 4 other boys. That, you know, he wasn't good at spelling necessarily, that he had poor penmanship, and now he loves to write. And to me, you know, that said a lot. So I think it's all good stuff, but I just wanted to add that in there. So
And additionally, before we move off this topic, Thorson wanted me to, fifth grade, Thorson wanted me to extend an invitation to you if you're available Friday, January 30th, which I think is next Friday. Right, so that's not right? It's next Friday at 2:30. The classes, each of the classes will be traveling back in time to 1750 to decide.
Yeah, I do.
One of the pillars. Does that violate one of the pillars of West Lawn? I think it did. This will be an exciting time to travel back 1750, decide which colony you would like to travel to and begin a new life. It's an open house format, so you don't have to come at 2:30. Our travel agents will be the fifth grade students. They've been doing a great job researching this. So they wanted me to extend that invitation. So next Friday, 2:30 to 3:15, if you're able to come.
We have to dress like.
You certainly could. We'll try to keep that out of the newspaper. Absolutely. Great. Thanks.
great, thank you. So I see next is the public comment section. I see there's some people from the robotics team up there. So would any of you like to speak? All right, I'm just going to read a quick disclaimer here, so come on down, and when I'm finished, then you can go. In the past, the State Attorney General issued guidance on how governmental bodies, such as school boards, should conduct the public comment portions of their meetings. This guidance was given to assist governmental bodies in avoiding violation of the state's open meetings laws. The essence of this guidance is that unless the topic being brought to the board by the public is listed on that meeting's agenda, no significant discussion can be held on that item. Instead, the topic may be listed as an item on a future meeting agenda whereby discussion could then be held. The reason for this guidance is not to limit open discussion, but rather to ensure that all interested parties have an equal opportunity to participate in the discussions with the full school board. We on the school board encourage community input, and we want to hear from you, our constituents. However, we also take the state's open meetings laws very seriously and will follow the guidance as outlined by the State Attorney General. Therefore, if an item is listed on tonight's agenda, open dialogue may occur between the individual from the public and the board members. If it is not listed, the board will be limited to listening only and will not be able to respond to comments or questions. If your item is not listed on tonight's agenda and you want to have discussion regarding the topic, you're encouraged to contact the district superintendent and request that your item be listed on a future meeting agenda. As always, you are also encouraged to discuss any issue with individual board members on a one-on-one basis outside the meeting setting. Please make your comments to the board and not to any individuals in the audience. Please note that this is a public meeting. We ask everyone to address one another with the courtesy and respect you would like to receive in return when you approach the microphone. Please state your name and your address for the record, and just as a reminder, this is going to be on the YouTube channel. So,
Dawn Bukowski, W55NA38 Cedar Ridge Drive, Cedar Ridge. We are here to present on behalf of the CHS Robotics team, which is a STEM-based Project Lead the Way program here at the high school, Cedar Ridge High School. Although we have been affiliated as a team with the high school and the Cedarburg School District, we have been entirely funded by local business sponsors. That has allowed us to create a fantastic community-sponsored but completely parentally run program for the last 6 years that we've been in existence. We have had no staff or faculty liaison for the last 2 years, and we are making you aware of this dilemma. From a liability perspective, this circumstance has not been wise. In addition, we have the problem that our volunteer head coach, who has held the large part of the responsibility for overseeing the program for the last 4 of these 6 years, who is a professional engineer, has announced his resignation effective next year. We understand the board is considering replacing Mr. David Tice's position for next year. We are respectfully encouraging this engineering hire with an engineering professional and requesting that this team be part of that new hire's responsibility written into that contract. We thank you for your time and attention to this matter.
Thank you. All right. At this time, I would, anyone else? All right. Thank you. This time, I will accept the motion to adjourn into committee of the whole boardroom, and this is,
Before we do that,
yeah.
let me back up, because I made the motion and I think we may have missed one motion. And on number 5, we voted for the resignation, but did we ever make the full motion to approve the consent agenda, which is the bills and the minutes? I don't think we did. So with that in mind, Mr. President, could I make the motion to approve the consent agenda? We started discussing something else, I think we got off of it.
We didn't decide to abstain from the minutes, so that was not good.
Okay. So,
It's number 5. I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda, which would be the minutes. And we already did the personnel report, we just didn't do the minutes and the finances.
okay.
I'll second that.
Motion and second. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Against?
I will have to abstain, Mr. President.
All right. Good. All right. So we're up to item 7, and I'll take a motion to adjourn into committee of the whole boardroom, and that will be open to the public. It'll be down the hall, and we are going to be discussing the board policy review timeline, discussing 4K timeline, and a mission update. I will take that motion.
I'll move to adjourn into committee of the whole.
Second?
Motion and a second. All those